And instead, I no longer plan out my tennis lessons. Now, for those who know me, I used to be very, very precise in my lesson planning, down to the finest detail, down to the finest second of what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and what was coming next. As a coach educator, I also preach this. I tell candidates on courses, you must plan out your session. It's important to know what equipment you need, what the progression is, how you're going to take the player on the journey through the session to develop the skill. I no longer do any of that. I coach now what I call in the moment. I react very organically to the situation unfolding in front of me. And I'm going to talk through my reason why, how I do it, and the benefits for me, benefits for the players. And yeah, so interesting topic as always here at mytenniscoaching.com. We try and crush the traditional coaching methods. We try and go against the status quo, and we try and talk about more efficient and effective ways of tennis coaching compared to the very old traditional ways that, as we discuss a lot in these streams, aren't very effective but are very convenient for coaches. So let me talk about coach planning. I mentioned in the opening that, yeah, as a coach educator, it is important to plan. You need to know how many kids you're going to have. You need to know what equipment you potentially might need. You need to know what court you're on and stuff like that. That stuff I still do. Yeah, I still have an idea of who I'm working with, what age and stage they are, what equipment I might need, and all the other health and safety stuff. Like that's important. Like, I'm not saying you just wing it and you turn up. Previously, though, I would plan out a lesson. I'd have a theme. I'd have what I want to work on. And then I'll come up with 3 or 4 practices or drills that I used to call them. 3 or 4 drills that I want to do in the session. And all the drills were interlinked. So it all sort of flowed naturally. Yeah. So we started off what I sometimes used to call simple to complex. We start off quite simple, and then the progressions make it more and more challenging. So even in my very traditional coaching methods, I still sort of use a little bit of non-linear stuff, open practice, game-based practices. That's what I'm trying to get to there. So I would go in, let's say, for example, we are working on a cross-court forehand. Cross-court forehand is a classic one that I'd probably work on. So the first drill would be, okay, we're going to hit cross-court. Then it might be, okay, we might go cross-court and down the line. So the progression is adding in another shot. Then it might be, okay, feed the ball in cross-court, play the point out. That's the progression. And I would just follow that sequence. I'd follow it, and it'd be regimented. So I'm going to spend 10 minutes there, 8 minutes on that, 7 minutes on that. And no matter what happened, I'd progress and move on. Because I've now gone down this route of non-linear coaching, that makes no sense. How do I know when to move the exercise on? Like, the players might need more than 10 minutes. They might need less than 10 minutes. I might be doing something that the players don't even need. They can do it really well. So why are we working on something that's actually giving them no degree of challenge? Why is something that they already have? And what I found myself doing as well, I'd write like 12-week blocks of lessons. I'd do a whole program. I'd set it out. Like, I'd do a whole year of some players, like training blocks, and I'd be very specific on what I'm working on. And this week we're going to work on this, and that week we're going to work on that, and it flows together. And more often than not, those plans fell apart. Why? Because after 4 weeks, I've probably seen something else, and it's taken me off on a diversion. Even if I do stick to the regimented plan over the 6 weeks, I'm probably covered in stuff that we've either covered already or the player doesn't need to cover, but I'm doing it because it's in the plan. I'm not going away from the script. And it really came to light recently in a lesson that I took part in. And I'm lucky enough because I get to work still with lots of coaches, both in my centre I work at, county training, work with other coaches through coach education. So I get to experience lots of coaching. I get to experience lots of coaches. And sometimes I get to jump in as a player and experience these sessions as well. So I get to watch a lot of other coaches work. And I'm really keen on coaching lesson structure at the moment because I'm trying to find more non-linear ways of coaching. And lots of coaches have very specific plans. And I took part in a session where coach had a good intent. I'm not going to talk too detailed because I don't want the coach maybe to watch this, and I'm not trying to. Okay, I always try not to speak negatively about coaches. Every coach has their own way. Every coach has their own philosophy. Every coach goes out to live the best session they can. But I just looked at it in this regard as a player. So the coach has a plan. They talk me through the plan at the start, and at the start, like I can't take it all in. So the coach is telling the players, "This is what we're going to work on today. This is the teaching point." So you'd think that's a good thing. They're setting out the stall. They're telling the players what they're going to work on. Okay, that would be a tick in coach education. Yeah, they're telling the players what the lesson's about. I find it overwhelming listening to it. It's like, wow, okay, I've got to try and get all that in. I also thought about it from a player's point of view. Like, well, you just told me what we're really going to be focused on. So all my attention's drawn in that very specific area of the game now. And I'm not going to be looking at the other areas that I know you're not fixated on. And that's an issue, which I'll come back to in a few moments. So we get into the first drill. Okay, it's an open situation drill. So it's not a basket drill. So well done, coach. Happy with this. But it's down the line. It's down the line, and I'm thinking, how often do we play down the line in tennis? Not that often. We've probably got space here to do full court stuff with a number of players we have, but we're still constrained into going down the line. Okay. And the exercise is going on. And I get the coach's intent. Again, I don't want to share too much about the intent because I'm not here to criticize or critique other coaches. I'm here just to give my experience and my view on it. And that's the way I look at things. I try and look at things in different ways and see different things with different lenses. And I'm looking around and the players aren't quite achieving the coach's intent. They're not achieving it. Okay. So chat to the coach. Are you seeing what you should be seeing? And he's like, oh, no, not really. But the next drill, they're going to get it. The next drill, we're actually going to see it here in action. Okay. Great. Maybe we bring awareness to it and then maybe send them back out and then maybe see if they can do it anyway. Because you might not need the next drill because you might bring awareness to some good practice and then they might actually go out and execute it anyway. You won't even need the next drill. That's not my plan. My plan's to send them out and then get them back in, put them into another exercise. They'll get better and then put them into another exercise. And like, well, you're not really giving them, like, to me, this is the art of coaching here, because like, if you send them out and they can't achieve it, you then have to help them. You've got to facilitate the discussion. You've got to facilitate the learning. You've got to maybe give them an awareness of, okay, some ideas of how to solve the problem that you've created. And great that the coaches has given them a problem. He's not giving them a solution. And I get the thinking that, okay, we're going to put it into a drill. Gets the players in, talks through some solutions to the previous exercise, and then sends them back out with a brand new drill. It's another progression. I'm just looking at it thinking, well, you've just seen it didn't work, and yet you've just progressed onto the next exercise, knowing that the players didn't really achieve the previous one, but you've moved on because you've got it in your head that you have to move on. And you're looking at your watch, and I'm guaranteeing that he's 15, 20 minutes. He's got these timings down. But the players haven't really worked out the solutions for the previous one, but now you've moved on to the next one. And I get the logic was kind of sound of, well, the next one is really going to get them to learn this bit here. But again, the same thing happened. Like, you didn't really see the players try to actively solve the problem. What ended up happening is they just started drilling. They just started hitting. They weren't actually trying to develop any awareness of the situation, or they weren't really trying to develop solutions. It just became a paint by numbers exercise. And the coach did well at the start, but because he had this mindset of, I'm going to progress and then progress onto this. And again, even with the other progressions, they linked in with the previous exercise, but it wasn't catering to what was in front of the coach. I don't think it really addressed the issues that the players were showing. And I've done that lesson thousands of times. I've gone in with a lesson plan, looks great on paper. Yeah, it all flows. The intent's there. We're going to keep it simple. Then we'll go simple to complex. We'll open it up, isolated, whatever you want to call it, to open situations. Progressions are great. It looks amazing. But what I've started to look at recently, especially when I look back on a lot of my old lesson plans, is where's the flexibility? Where's the teaching of the game to the players in the moment? I'm not really responding to what's in front of me. I'm responding to what's written on my pad. I'm just moving on based on that. And that's where I think late last year, I started to look at, oh, I'm not planning lessons no more. Like even up till maybe September, October last year, I was still writing down very detailed lesson plans, very detailed practice designs with progressions. But then when the beauty of videoing your own lessons, like I video lots of my sessions now. The beauty of watching back, I was sitting there one day, I was like, this is so linear. I'm meant to be the non-linear coach. Like I'm just following a process. I'm following a process. I'm all about the non-processing. I'm all about like dealing with the adaptation of the moment. So then I sort of October time, well, I know I'll just go in with an intent. This is what I really want to try and find out today. So I'll go in with an intent. I'll go in with an initial practice design. So let's say, for example, we use a cross-court forehand again. So I may set up the situation where, okay, we're going to look at how you deal being in a cross-court battle. So cross-court battles where the two players are generally trading cross-court to each other. Let's say from the due side, forehand to forehand. So generally speaking, like my closed drill would be very simple. Well, okay, let's rally cross-court. Let's develop that skill, like I said before, and then it'll be maybe 2 cross 1 line, classic drill, and then might be competition 2 cross 1 line, play the point out. Now I sort of maybe set the situation up where, okay, first ball has to go cross, but anything goes after that. So I've slightly isolated it by saying you have to go cross first ball, but then I want to see what happens naturally. And then I'll look at, okay, do they go cross when it's the high percentage shot? Or do they change direction when it's a low percentage shot? Are they making good decisions of when to change direction and stuff? It's full court, so I open the court up. And then from there, I'll just adapt the coaching. So I'll adapt to stuff that I see. Okay, are they playing too much sort of towards the center? Are they not getting enough whiff on the ball? Yeah, so are they hitting the ball not really cross court? They're going maybe just off center. I want the ball maybe be more efficient. I want the ball be more efficient if they hit the ball wider. Okay, then I'll adjust the practice design to where I make the court wider. But I'm reacting in the moment. Maybe that they're just engaging in and this will happen generally quite a lot. They'll just cross court battle and just keep going cross court. No one's looking for the opportunity to change direction. So then I'll change the practice where they can look and find the opportunity to change direction. And my lesson will just move and flow with what's in front of me. Like this evening when I go to the center, I've got a red session. Haven't got a clear lesson plan in my head. I know I want to do a little bit of work on dealing with a wider ball because a lot of stuff these kids doing is up and down the middle. Don't play tennis up and down the middle. Okay, so how are we going to deal when we are pushed a little bit wider? And then I will literally set up a situation, maybe the one I just talked about there. Okay, so you got to feed the ball into that zone and then you play the point out. And then I'll adapt and move the rest of the session, the rest of the practices in and around what I see in real time. The positives of that is I'm reacting to what's happening in front of me. I can react very specifically to the players in front of me. I'm reacting to the moment. I'm reacting to the context that's being presented to me. It's not pre-planned. It's not pre-thought. And it goes back to what I said before that I'll come back to. Like if we go in with a pre-plan, if we go in looking for improving the forehand cross court, especially that one shot, then that's all we'll see. And we'll see all the errors that come with that. We won't see anything else around it. So our lens is so focused there. And like I said before, the player's lens will get focused that way as well. What my feeling tonight will be, we're going to look at, okay, what happens when we get engaged in that cross court shot? How do we deal being pushed out, maybe a little bit uncomfortable on that forehand or backhand side? And then let's go from there. There's the seed, and let's see if we can get this to grow. And then my job tonight is, okay, I've got to find the appropriate level of challenge. Don't want it to be too easy. Don't want it to be too hard. I've got to find the appropriate level of challenge. I want to incorporate stuff like decision-making, problem-solving, solutions. And as I'm setting these practices up, I'm constantly looking and I'm evaluating and I'm trying stuff out myself. I'm pretty much ecological dynamics coaching myself, because I'm trying to find different problems to create different solutions, and I'm doing it in the moment. I think it's a more organic and natural way of coaching, because I'm reacting to what's in front of me. I'm adapting. Goes back to that ecological dynamics as a coach, but as players, I'm adapting to what's in front. Downside to it is it's scary. It's scary. Like, I still get a little bit nervous going to work in the car, and I think, oh my God, I haven't got a plan. I haven't got a routine. And that's a bit unearthing for a coach who's been so planned over the years, like, to go in and just be vulnerable. I think that's a good word to use, to be vulnerable, not having a plan. And it's interesting because, again, just reflecting now in real time, like, the majority of my lessons that I used to deliver years ago were just routines. Like, I could crack out the best lesson in the world, but it's a routine. I'd say the same jokes at the same point. I'd say the same teaching points. I'd crack the same joke. It'd just be a routine. It would just be a routine. It will look dead smooth and dead slick and dead professional, and it will look dead good. But it's a routine. And that routine won't fit every single player I come to contact with, but it looks good though. Whereas now it's a lot more vulnerability on my side. A lot of the time I'm stood around, I'm thinking, I'm really analysing, I'm processing. I'm trying to find better ways and more effective ways of challenging or helping the players in the moment. It's hard. And that's the downside to it. But again, I say on these streams all the time, I'm doing it for what I believe is the best interest of the player. It's not what's best for me. Not what's best for mum and dad looking on the balcony watching. Like, if it's best for me, I'll just do a routine. And you see it all the time. The coach bashing out 8 hours back to back, and it's all the same lesson, just routine. Just going through the motions, going through the same jokes, same routine. That's not what's best for the players. That's what's best for me. And I can make it look dead professional and slick to mum and dad, so they then believe and then I believe it's best for them. But coaching in the moment, if you go onto mytenniscoaching.com, you join the academy, what I've started to do is I've started to film a lot of my lessons and putting them on the academy, and I react to them and reflect them in real time and say, like, this is what I was thinking at that moment. This is what I was trying to achieve. I didn't quite achieve it there, because guess what? Everything that I do doesn't always work. That's how I learn from it. And like I say on a lot of the Instagram posts, like I put up, it's real coaching and real players and real environments. It's tough and things go wrong. Players don't get it, and it goes pear-shaped. But I learn in those situations, and the players learn in those situations. So if you would like to check out some of this stuff, if you'd like to see, can I walk the walk and talk the talk, head over to mytenniscoaching.com. But how often and how well planned are your lessons? Are they in the best benefits of the player, or are they just routines? Do you just deliver that best short ball lesson that you do? That's my classic, by the way, short ball lesson. Short ball lesson was dead easy. Feed in the short ball, and then the player plays the point out. You realize they go cross court a lot. If you didn't isolate it, they go down the line. And then you do short ball volley, the next drill. Then you might do serve, short ball, volleys, a progression. And you play points. If you hit a short ball or a volley, you win 3 points conditions like that. I could literally that lesson in my sleep, word for word. But it was a routine. It was a script. It wasn't benefiting the player. And even all the teaching points and stuff were just generic routine. And for those coaches, parents, players watching this, if you feel that your coach is doing the same lesson every couple of weeks, they've probably got 5 or 6 lessons that are their go-to lessons, and they're just rehashing them. Are they actually catering for what's best for you? That's a question you need to ask yourself. There we go. So coaching in the moment, no longer planning my lessons out like a script. If you have enjoyed this, please leave a comment down below. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Instagram, please follow. And yes, check out mytenniscoaching.com. Until next time, have a great week, and I will see you